There are many categories of diversity in an education and care service. If we're thinking about children and families, oftentimes the first category we think of is cultural and linguistic diversity, and certainly that's one important category, but there are others as well. I mean, there's diversity in socioeconomic levels, lifestyles, religious backgrounds, child-rearing practices. I mean, there's an endless list of types of diversity. One of the great benefits of being in a care and education service, even a small group like family daycare, is the exposure to diversity. The exposure to males and females, the exposure to older children, younger children, ideally the exposure to older adults, young adults, middle-aged adults, as well as obvious differences like differences in skin colour and differences in hair and that sort of thing. I think one of the wonderful things for children in the years before starting school in a service is when they have the opportunity to form a relationship with a child or children with additional needs. I think that learning to be comfortable with children with disabilities and learning that those people's identities are just as complex as their own. In other words, that they're not defined by their disability, but that they might be loud and noisy, or they might be good at drawing, or they might be very quiet, whatever. That everybody is a complex person. So I think that a kind of openness to diversity and clarity about acceptable ways of relating to other people are two of the most important things that children can learn in the years before school. And they learn it through experiencing it firsthand in services, and they learn it quite powerfully through the modelling and the demonstration of educators and obviously of families as well.
In order to welcome in everyone, we need to know exactly where everyone comes from, what their expectations are, and how they might feel engaged in their child's service. So there are simple things that can happen, like having photo walls that include everyone, so that every kind of family is shown to the children in the service and to the adults in the service, or that there's kinds of artwork or objects that people might think, that actually looks like home to me, it looks like us, I'm welcome here. The other thing is in the way that we say that we include people through our communication, making sure that the types of communication are varied, and that communication takes into account that we do have different types of families. We do have people who come from different social and cultural backgrounds, and our communication needs to reflect that, and that each and every one of them are respected as valued people in this place that is their child's service.
If we look at cultural diversity, for example, in Australia at the moment, we have so many different cultural groups living here, and we've also got to make sure that we always respect our First Peoples, which are our Indigenous peoples in this country. And that's absolutely fundamental. And there are lots of different ways that you can showcase that. And I think the important thing is to showcase it in a strengths way. So rather than just assuming that you might have a sort of multicultural day that's just about different food, we might need to do a little bit more than that. So showcase some of the strengths from that particular cultural group, and also bring in people that have some sort of expertise in that, from that particular cultural group too.
When considering diversity, reflecting on how we are alike creates a sense of connectedness and a basis of understanding. It is also important to consider how we are different, to appreciate the richness and diversity within the early childhood community.
When we acknowledge and understand how we are different to other people, and how we are alike with other people, we start to see the kinds of relationships that we can build. And often we find our relationships start from how we're alike.
I think also the notion of difference and diversity is recognised and valued in your daily work with children as well. So children will identify many times things that are different amongst each other. You know, they will talk about, my family does this, or I've got two mums, or, you know, my dad does this, and, you know, there's a whole lot of conversations going on with children where they identify difference, because we know that children notice difference. It is in the educators' intentional teaching opportunities and opportunities to talk to children about the way that they understand that difference, that we see children starting to value it as opposed to being afraid of it. And difference then becomes something that is sought after and valued within the context of that community of learners. So in many cases it's going to be, when you encounter difference, to welcome it and to indicate that to parents, to say some of those words out loud, because how do people know that you value difference without sometimes saying, we really welcome your contribution, we look forward to you telling us a little bit about how you celebrate various things in your family life, what you think is important to you. So some of that out loud conversation is really important.